very good morning. It's 11 o'clock. This is NTV Today. My name is Ken Mijungu. We have quite a show for you this morning and we are live from all over. First, Silas Apollo is giving us a live update from Industrial Area Fuel Depot. On the fuel crisis, we'd like to know what's happening. We understand by yesterday afternoon they had resumed loading the fuel on trucks ready to be transported across the country. Silas Apollo will be joining us shortly. Sharon Baranga is at the KNUT headquarters where the teachers are responding to the Teacher Service Commission saying that Sosion was actually misleading the teachers. Sharon Baranga is live for us shortly. And Vincent Duor joins us from Parliament where Treasury officials, including the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, were supposed to be speaking to the Senate ad hoc committee today on the maize scandal or on the payments. So we'll be joining Vincent to brief us on that. And Bernardo Juang is at Rongo University in Migori County following the death of Sharon Otieno. He's also joining us shortly, but first let's talk sports. And Sean Carvelis is in studio with all to expect later. Sean?
Very much a good morning to you, and of course we are looking forward to what is going to be a massive weekend of football. On Saturday, Kenya take on Ghana at the Kasarani Stadium. We'll have a full preview to that. The latest from the US Open, the main story being the heat and humidity that's been really sort of affecting play at Flushing Meadows in New York. But Novak Djokovic safely through. We'll have the latest from the US Open, and also there is a name for the new MLS club owned by David Beckham, and it's going to be called Inter Miami. That is what the name is going to be called. So quite a bit to talk about. We will of course recap all that, a little bit of cricket as well. Alistair Cook speaking about why he's retired. Sports on the way a little bit later on NTV Today.
Right, Sean Carvelis, we're looking forward to all that. Sean will be joining us in the next hour or so with all these sports. We'll try and get him in as soon as possible. All right, let's cross over to our first live this morning. That's where Vincent Oduor is. He's in Parliament to brief us what's happening. Vincent, good morning. We understand that Treasury is currently holding a closed-door meeting, and probably the meeting with the Senate ad hoc committee will not happen. Tell us more.
Absolutely, we are here in Parliament whereby, you know, today the Senate ad hoc committee on maize crisis was supposed to meet Treasury CS Henry Rotich and top officials from Kenya Revenue Authority, Kenya Ports Authority, and also, you know, officials from the Millers Association. But that meeting has just been cancelled. We have not been told the reasons why the meeting has been cancelled, but they're saying that they have cancelled the meeting due to unavoidable circumstances. And you know what we were expecting today to be talked about in that meeting are issues to do with the maize crisis in the country. You know, you remember there was a time farmers were complaining weeks ago that they had not received any amount of money having supplied maize to the National Cereals and Produce Board, and they were complaining that despite 1.4 billion shillings being set aside for them to be paid, they are not being paid. And you know, you've seen the scandal at the National Cereals and Produce Board whereby Agriculture CS Richard Lesiambe together with other officials from the National Cereals and Produce Board were arrested over the irregular purchase of maize worth you know, 11 billion shillings, you know, despite the ministry being budgeted to spend only 6 billion. What I can tell you also that is happening today in Parliament, you know, despite CS Rotich not being able to attend the meeting of the ad hoc committee that has been cancelled, right now Treasury CS Henry Rotich is meeting with the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, together with the Leader of Majority of the National Assembly, Aden Duale, in a closed-door meeting. And what we speculate is that they are likely, we really don't know the agenda of the meeting, but we are speculating and we think they are talking about issues to do with the 16% VAT that was implemented on fuel products. You know, this comes a few days after members of Parliament, you know, shot down most of the proposals by the Treasury CS on products to tax. And the meeting, it's likely they are talking about way forward from here. You know, what should they do? Because, you know, you remember members of Parliament had passed an amendment on the Finance Bill 2018 to suspend the implementation of the 16% on fuel products for 2 years, and it was to be implemented in 2020. But the Treasury CS went ahead to implement it, since, you know, it was an act of 2013, so it was in place. So status quo remained. So today we think the CAs is talking with the House leadership to look at ways on which they can move forward from that, to look at other proposals when it comes to which products they should tax, or way forward in terms of raising revenue, in terms of looking for other alternatives of raising revenues, because the VAT, 16% VAT, MPs shut it down. So that is basically what is happening, and now we are waiting. We are trying to wait to try if we can catch up with the CS Treasury if at the moment he leaves that meeting with the Speaker, which is closed door, and we'll try and ask him on way forward on the price of fuel, because that is something that has caused a lot of outrage among Kenyans, and it is something that is going to really increase, and it's already increasing the cost of living, because it has a trickle-down effect on almost entire consumable products, because we use fuel in manufacturing, in transportation, and these will only see Kenyans carrying the heavy burden. For now, I'm taking you back to studio.
Vincent Oduor, very comprehensive indeed, and indeed we are on standby. As soon as you can get CS Rotich on camera, we'll definitely be coming back to you in Parliament. Thank you, Vincent Oduor, briefing us on the cancelled meeting between the Senate and Treasury earlier on. But they are in a closed-door meeting with the top leadership of Parliament. That's the Speaker and the Majority Leader. Right, later on we'll be discussing that with my panel. Susan Longewa is here to talk to us about that. Meshach Odede and Samuel Masaki will be engaging them in such kinds of discussions already here in studio to talk to us about the cost of living and, of course, a lot of other things happening around the country. Right, before we speak to them, let's take you to Rongo University, the death of Sharon Otieno under probe. In fact, our very own Barak is already in Nairobi and investigations are on. But let's speak to now Bernardo Joang, who is on standby. He's actually at Rongo University with the VC. Talk to us, Bernard.
Well, thank you very much, Ken. We are live here at the Rongo University main campus, where Professor Gudu, the vice chancellor of this institution, will be addressing us. And remember, this follows the death of one of the students, Sharon Otieno, who was abducted alongside the Nation Media Group journalist Barak Oduor, who also managed to escape, but Sharon didn't manage to escape, and later they killed and dumped her body in Kodera forest. The body was found yesterday, and yesterday evening, it is an incident that forced the students from this institution to take it to streets whereby they demonstrated, and they were demanding a quick action be taken. Of course, now security organs have started their investigation, and some of the culprits have been arrested, and the security organs are also saying that they are still looking for more perpetrators, more maybe suspects who are involved in that act. And now we are joined by Professor Gudu. Let's hear from him. Welcome, Prof. Just wait. Yeah. Could you tell us about Sharon?
I want to confirm that Sharon Otieno was a student of Rongo University doing diploma and was a second-year student. We were saddened by the information that Sharon was abducted and died. And I want to pass our condolences to the parents, to the friends, the students of Rongo University, and the entire staff of Rongo University. We are saddened by that sudden murder of our student. We have done everything that we could as a university. We discussed with the government machinery, the DCIO, the police, and we also visited the home. We discussed with the parents, and we were saddened when we looked at what had happened to Sharon. We want just to inform the parents that at Rongo University, we care about our students. We are very sad of what has happened, but the government has given us assurance that the rest of students are safe, and we want to thank the government for the continued support. I want just to say that something that has happened to Sharon should not happen to any student in this country. And the government has given us assurance, and we have got very good cooperation of the district security. We thank the government for this. But we hope the abductors will be caught and justice will be done, so that the parents and the Rongo University fraternity will be happy when we see the culprits arraigned in court and the law followed to its course.
Prof, some parents were saying that they're now worried.
I want to assure them that there should be no worry, because Sharon, for your information, deferred her studies and was out there. We were expecting her to come back in January. And the rest of the students are safe. And of course, since he deferred her studies, she was now operating back at their home. So this happened when she has already deferred her studies. So the rest of the students are safe, and the parents should have no fear. The government is taking control and security of all our students.
Ken, you've just heard from, I was speaking there with Professor Gudu, and now joining me is the Dean of the school, just to tell us how was Sharon when she was, just come close to me, how was Sharon?
Sharon was a good student. She was one of the mature students in her class, and she was doing very well until she deferred. And we expected her to be here 3rd of this month. But this incident happened before she could arrive. Yeah. But she was one of the best students and mature indeed.
So what are your expectations maybe after the investigation being done by the security organs?
Well, we expect that after the investigations, we shall be assured of what happened. And then we shall be assured that the university or our students here will be safe, because this is an indicator that the security is taking care of what is happening.
Thank you very much. Well, I was speaking there to Professor Gudu and even the deans of students here at Rongo University. They are saying that they are now, they have that confidence that those people who are involved in this act will be brought to book. And even security organs, they are all over now in Migori County, at least to looking for these people, doing their investigation. And remember, from here, we are heading right away to Homa Bay County, where the postmortem is being done at the Homa Bay Level 5 Hospital, and we'll be bringing you more information about that for our subsequent bulletin. Ken?
Right, Bernard, just before I let you go, one more question. Yesterday, we understood that the DCI was sending a team of investigators to the ground. Have you seen them? Have you spoken to them? Or have you heard they're on the ground?
Okay, Ken, we've not managed to at least talk to these people, because they came here for a purpose, and their main purpose here at least to do their investigation, look for these people, and we hope that maybe after their investigation and their all that after finishing what brought them here, we'll get more information, and the county DCI, the county CID officers, and even the other security organ in this county will be briefing us for at least to get more information. Ken?
Right, Bernard, as you head to Homa Bay Level 5 Hospital, thank you very much. We'll try and link with you later on. Bernard from Rongo University, and we're talking about the murder of one of the students, Sharon Otieno, who we now understand from the VC that had deferred her studies, and she was operating from home at the time of her death. All right, let's do a situation check around the county. That's the county of Nairobi. The fuel crisis, where you're fueling, do you find fuel at the petrol station near you? Let's do this with Silas Apollo, who is going all over Nairobi trying to check on that. But yesterday evening, Silas, we understood that they had started loading. There was a crisis at the depot, but we understood that they started loading, and perhaps trucks are already on the road and the petrol stations have fuel now. Is there news to the contrary?
Yes, Ken, it's been quite a hectic day today in Nairobi. Pretty busy as well. We've managed to move to a number of petrol stations within the city center. And right now we are in Westlands, where, as you can see, there's a long queue of motorists who are trying to get the rare commodity now, which is petrol. We talked to a number of them and a number of petrol stations here at the CBD, and then they're telling us that right now there's a shortage of petrol. The only commodity that they have is diesel, and so there's been a lot of lines and queues of people and motorists trying to get the commodity. And we've just been joined by a few of the guys in Nairobi who would want to tell us exactly what the experience has been and what is it that is a problem. So unaweza tuanza na jina yako tuambie?
Kwa majina naitwa Livingstone Swachi. Nairobi tumeumia sana, mafuta nini, tunatarajia vile rais amekuja aweze kusukisha mafuta kidogo. Wananchi tumeona shida sana. Toka jana usafiri umekuwa shida. kupeleka delivery imekuwa shida, kama mimi mhudumu wa bodaboda humu mjini.
Na sasa mafuta mnauziwa pesa ngapi hapa?
Mafuta kwa sasa hivi najua ili kama kawaida tu 130.
Na hii shida imekuwa tatizo kabisa kuanzia siku gani?
Tatizo kabisa juu kazi zote zimeweza kusimama, hatufanyi kazi, huwezi peleka delivery.
Na imekuwa kuanzia Jumatatu ama imeanza?
Imeanza kuanzia juzi. Ndio mafuta imeleta shida.
Maybe if you can talk to another more, utueleze jina lako ni nani?
Jina naitwa Charles Ouma, na tumekuwa na shida sana ya mafuta katika mji huu wa Nairobi. Kama sasa mimi ni mhudumu wa bodaboda, lakini tunaona shida sana. Tungeomba kwamba kwa sababu sasa unaona lita ni 130 na hakuna ukizunguka karibu Nairobi nzima, mafuta ni petrol station ni kidogo sana zenye ziko na mafuta. So tuna shida sana.
Na saizi kwa hii area ya Westlands, petrol stations ngapi ziko na petrol, gani hazina petrol, gani?
Kama hii mtaa wa Westland ni oil peke yake. The rest hazina fuel kabisa. So tumekuwa na hiyo shida kuanzia Tuesday. Tunaona kwamba serikali tafadhali ingilie. Unajua mafuta ndio kila kitu. Mafuta the more imekosekana, shida imeingia. Uchumi inakuwa mbaya sana. Kwa sababu sasa watu wanalia. People are crying kwa sababu hakuna amani, hakuna fuel. So serikali iangalie, na si kupandisha tu mafuta, mtu anamuka unapandisha mafuta, na hii ndio inasaidia sisi local people ambao tunaweza saidika. Kwa hiyo kazi imekwama sana, hakuna kazi sasa.
Na labda unaweza tuambia, mmeambiwa hii shida itatatuliwa hivi karibuni ama wana petrol station wanaambiaje?
Sasa wanasema kwamba shida wamengojea pengine rais akuje aweke sahihi ndio tuone kama itatatuliwa, but hatuna uhakika kwa sababu kama jana petrol zimefungwa, hakuna mafuta kabisa. So tuna shida, hatujui sasa serikali inafikiriaje. Najua serikali lazima iangalie watu wa chini, si tu watu wa juu, inaangalia watu wa chini. Na mafuta ndio kila kitu vile nimekwambia. Maana mafuta ikishuti chakula, kila kitu, usafiri inakwama. Yes.
So Ken, that is the situation here in Nairobi. A number of petrol stations, not just in Westlands alone, even in the CBD. Earlier on, we also did a spot check at some petrol stations on Kimathi Street in Nairobi. And the situation is the same. There's a shortage of petrol. Only DSL is available. And so the question is, we don't know how long this crisis will take and how long it will be sorted. By the cry of most of the motorists and even the residents of Nairobi that it should be sorted as soon as possible. And strange enough, even the most roads in Nairobi city and stuff the traffic is a bit light compared to previous days. So we hope the situation will be sorted, but we will be keeping you updated as the day goes by to just see and give a spot check on what exactly is happening, and maybe the reaction from the government, reaction from the consumers, reactions as well from the stakeholders in the petrol, in the oil industry. Back to you, Ken.
Right, Silas Apollo, thank you very much. And it might help to note that the CS Treasury is currently in Parliament meeting the two top leaders of the National Assembly. That's the Speaker and the Majority Leader. As soon as we have information, Silas will be telling you. But Silas is doing a spot check for us around Nairobi to see if the fuel prices are coming down or if motorists are fueling and if the streets are empty as a result of the high fuel prices. All right. Let me give you an update that Kenyans are waking up to good news, and for the first time, the reaction was swift. Let's take a look at this tweet from Immigration Kenya. Now, the Chinese national by the name Lu Jiangyi, I don't care whether I don't get the name right because he disrespected us right in our country. He was captured on video yesterday abusing or using abusive words. He has been arrested. His work permit has been cancelled and he will be deported on racism grounds. He needs to be deported like yesterday. Now, this is one of the stories we are discussing this morning with my panel. And before we discuss it, let's take a look at some of those remarks that have now put him in trouble.
You can report him to the police, or you can take him to court if he was unfair to you. Yes. Why are you diverting your anger to me?
Really?
Yeah. It's like you are punishing me.
Because you are Kenyan.
So you are punishing me because
every Kenyan, even Enna, this is all the Kenyans, like a monkey. Even Uhuru, Kenyatta, all of them.
It's like a monkey.
Yeah, sure.
The president of this country.
Yeah, sure. You can go to court and tell me who has the evidence. Kenyans like an actor.
Right, because of the profanities in his statement, we will not be able to play the whole of it, but get the gist. It's been online and a lot of people have been sharing across platforms. And as I said right at the beginning, whether we get his name right, ladies and gentlemen, or not, it doesn't matter, because he's one of those characters that come to our country and disrespect us. And Kenyans were truly outraged. I'd rather they have done the Kenya versus Chinese than the Kenya versus Nigeria. But I want your quick comments on some of these things that we hear in our country. You come to our country, we give you, accommodate you, and then you disrespect us and still expect to stay here. Let me start with the lady in the panel, Susan.
Okay. Thank you for having me. I'm obviously angry about what he said. It's never right to call anyone out for anything, especially because of race. But I'm actually a bit shocked about the reaction of Kenyans in terms of we give these people so much space in our country. We make it free for all, available for them to come here and absolutely disrespect us, and then get outraged after that. I feel like the measures that are taken before they get here should be tightened.
But for example, how would we know, Susan, that this guy was coming here to disrespect us? Like this particular one?
The reason why he would disrespect us like that is because of the attitude that he has towards us, and those attitudes are formed. Yes, they could be formed because of misconceptions that are there before because of race, but at the same time they're also formed because of the kind of experiences that we give them, we expose them to. So if you come here and we'll give you our land for free, we'll work for you for free, you know, like I kind of blame us a little bit for it, but of course it is uncalled for and it is wrong for what he said.
All right.
Yeah.
Who else? All right. What's going through your mind when you watch that? Because I also want to relate this to an earlier incident that we reported extensively that happened about 3-4 months ago.
And I want to comment and say that I think the Chinese are taking advantage of maybe our silence in this country, especially as young people. And we want to send a very strong warning to them that this country has no place for racism. We are not going to allow them to come and talk the way we want. In fact, that guy was supposed to have been deported yesterday, not even today. It has taken so long. Those guys, they need to respect this country and the people of this country, because we are not going to allow them to come and talk the way they want. They're doing business in this country. We have to object that. We are moving forward as a country, and we are not going to allow such, especially racism in this country. This is not the first incident. We have those incidents. There were a lot of incidents that happened at the SGR where the workers were being beaten by those who the operators. And we want to say this is not the right way to go. They should be told, even the government has to be told, also the embassy, they have to be informed that there's a series of this incident that is happening. So we have to stop before
do you believe this, as Susan puts it, it's based on the kind of attitude they have against Kenyans? Because one, it's patronizing, and then secondly, if you had the young man who was speaking on the other side, he was very cool, calm and collected, and he managed to get this information out, because that wasn't the first incident that Kenyans were being disrespected in that farm or that organization. Do you think it's about attitude?
Yeah, it's about attitude, because the first incident, there was no serious action that was taken.
Oh, the first one, you mean
yes,
the SGR?
Yes, the SGR, there was no serious incident that was taken to those people, the operators. So they're comfortable because the government is calm, the DCI is calm, so the immigration is silent. So we need serious action to be taken. This should serve as an example to others, that you cannot just come in the country and talk bad and just continue with the way of life. We have to address these issues the way they are.
Would it look different if it was a Kenyan who was going against a foreigner? Maisha, would it look different?
Yeah, Ken, I first want to say that Kenyans love peace and they always want to live with the rest of the world in their country. And that has been mistaken a lot of time, because the way we welcome people, they always take it from that welcoming that they are allowed to do anything and everything. Sure, it would have been so different if it was Kenyan doing that, because of that supposed love for other nationals who are living in our country. You would have seen very quick arm of government doing one or two, although we are not saying they haven't done anything now, but we are saying this big story about Chinese here, Chinese there, Chinese doing this, Chinese doing that, and government to government makes other people, especially now Chinese, who lives in Kenya, believe that they own Kenya in one way or the other.
But it's even about how you work with them, because I have worked with the Chinese before.
Yeah.
It's how you relate with them that gives them your power, that hand over your power to them, because then they start thinking they can bully you around and get away with it. I mean, for them to call a Kenyan and generalize it and include everyone as a monkey, you know, including the president. I mean, it was outrageous. I don't know how, Susan, this guy expected to get away with this, or he didn't believe he was being recorded.
I mean, even there was a case of the restaurant that was discriminating people.
Yes.
And the restaurant was closed, those guys were deported, but this is still happening. There has to be a reason why it's still happening. And I really do believe that it's us who give them that impression, that they can treat us the way they want
and get away with
consequence.
it. Yes.
And he's saying that, you know, he's talking as though they own us, but in real sense, we kind of have like a really huge debt towards them. And
so they own us.
So I'm just saying this is our fault. I'm saying this is our fault. I'm not saying that they own us, but technically probably they do.
What do you mean? You're talking like they own us.
No,
Does
I'm
it
not
give
saying
them a right?
It doesn't give them a right
Yes.
to disrespect us. It does not give them the right to call us monkeys, but we do have a part that we've played in this. And how the government will deal with this case will determine, just like Samuel said, will determine the rest of the cases. And that, even though they're deported, just like in the restaurant case, does not mean that this will stop, because it's an issue of how we relate with them and what kind of power we give to them. So I think we need to take back our country.
But Ken, I saw something on that clip while I was watching it. I noticed this might not have been this particular gentleman, but then the attitude of Chinese against Africa was very clear on that clip.
That's how they think across the board.
That's how they think against Africans.
Yes.
Kenya might have been the case scenario here, but if you look at the clip, if you watch the clip, you would realize somehow it is Africa. According to them, Africa. Africans are just the same.
I think I was just going to jump into that this is also just an individual speaking. So yes, it could be that there is a perception amongst maybe Chinese people that we are a certain type of way, but at the same time, just the way he generalized and called all of us monkeys does not mean we should also generalize and call all of them racist. I'm just saying, I'm playing a bit of a devil's advocate here, but we shouldn't really generalize it based on...
Let's be fair to Kenya. This is across the board.
I'm being fair to both sides.
We can't be fair to them. That guy called us monkeys. We can't be fair to them.
You see, the first incident happened,
yes,
and we took it lightly.
No, did we?
The restaurant was closed.
I'm talking about the government perspective in addressing this issue. It was so lightly. So if we take it lightly, more of them are coming in. Let's say if this person is not deported, the government, the more of them who are in the country will take it lightly. They will continue abusing the people. The operators will continue abusing the rights of the Kenyans in the country. So we have to address this issue the way it is at this time. If that person is supposed to be deported, let him deported. Let's not have stories about it.
Let's bring in SGR. What happened, right? Yes. And then straight after 2-3 days, they had released confidential memos to be signed against speaking out and releasing information. So they were gagging Kenyans. In other words, now what's going to happen, the ripple effect is every Chinese farm in this country where they practice this kind of racism, they're going to tell them you cannot record, and they'll be leaving their phones outside. You know, you cannot do this, because now they know they are exposed. And Kenyans, by the way, I'm assuring you, before the end of the week or by next week, there'll be a lot of videos on the internet about this ill treatment, right? Yes. So if we bring in the SGR and how there was a response, Kenya first, you saw what DCI, was it Interior, what they said about it. Then secondly, they didn't even have a press conference on this. They said they're not even going to respond on such, right? The Chinese ambassador, the lady, had a press conference to explain this out, and they promised to do something, right? So is it also how we hold them in high esteem, based on what Susan says? We owe them.
We owe them, we do.
But we owe the government, we don't owe individuals like Lou.
I personally think there is a way the Chinese government treats their citizens, whether you are in the country or out, and maybe that is what we lack. Kenyans and government of Kenya love diplomacy so much, and so they would say, before I go to the press, I need to find out what exactly happened. It could have even been the Kenyan who was at a fault. So before they speak, they want to find out the truth. But other nationals, including Chinese ambassador in Kenya, would go and defend their citizen first and then deal with the rest later.
Okay.
That is what we are missing here.
Okay.
We don't have a government who goes and defends citizens at all costs and then discuss the rest, whether it is foreign relations.
Okay.
We discuss later.
Okay.
But your citizen is safe.
Don't you think, ladies and gentlemen, it's time the nation had a conversation around how we are treated on our own soil, stemming from the three major incidents, the hotel, the SGR, and now this one?
Treated by who? By the foreigners?
By the foreigner, yes.
Don't you think we should address how our own government treats us, how we relate with each other first, then we can go to how the Chinese treat us, how the foreigners treat us.
Let me tell you, Susan, if your kids go outside and your neighbor spanks them, you will not deal with your kid first, whether he was at fault. You're going to deal with your neighbor, then you come back inside your house and deal with your kids, right?
That's okay,
yes.
That's okay, but for us to say that, we need to have a conversation about, come on, we need to deal with ourselves first and see what issues we have amongst us, how our government treats us, then we can deal with the Chinese. I think it starts from home, then outside.
I think also the embassy should be at fault also to discuss these issues also with the citizens, especially those foreigners who are coming to stay in the country, that in terms of the conduct of themselves. It's very important because in this country we have the constitution, we have values, we have the respect for one another, so they should be able to respect that. We cannot just, even ourselves, we cannot be able to start calling them names. And it's not even allowed. Even it's also against the law. They should be able to respect that. This is a country who we are governed by law and order, and we should be able to move with that. If something, if what is happening is going to go beyond that, then we should be able to seek very serious action in terms of disciplining them, even if deporting them to their country. That has to be done.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, on a light note, this is on a light note, when they saw how we deal with some of our citizens, then they thought our government is still going to deal with us irrespective of whether they are the ones who are like the case of Miguna, for example.
Yes.
They look at that and they think this government is also tired with its people. So these people are actually like this.
Essentially, we are agreeing with what Susan is saying, that we need to look inward. All right, looking at the tweets from the Immigration KE, the last tweet they sent out was around 11, that's 9:34, where they said they are processing him to be deported. We saw an early tweet by one of the bloggers saying that he had been deported, but immigration says that they're deporting him. So until we have an update from the Immigration Kenya, we cannot for certain say if he's left the country or not. But what they say is what we're going with, that they are currently processing him for deportation. Once you withdraw a permit, you know, you withdraw a permit, I mean, you don't give them time. I have seen how some countries deal with illegal immigrants and the people they're deporting. They never give you time. You don't even go back to your house to park. Perhaps they have allowed him to go back to the house and park. Okay.
Or stay.
All right, that's definitely attracted outrage for the good reason, and Kenyans are moving on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like also to discuss about a topic that is key and is still trending in the country, not for the good reason, the death of Sharon. Does it help for the VC and your old watch to say she was not in campus, she had deferred her studies, probably because she was expectant, so she was not in school? I'm just saying probably because we don't have the reason why she deferred. Does it help that now the institution can say, you know, she was out of campus, you know, that responsibility is not on us. We're just doing it because she was here, but remember she had deferred? Because I think that is what they're referring to. I mean, otherwise, why would the VC say that she was out? Why would you bring that aspect? She didn't die while she was in our custody. I think that's all they bring, Misha.
Yeah, I think what I've watched there is a school trying to deal more with the issue of school than the death itself, because all
like which ones of the school?
The safety. He kept repeating, and each one of them who spoke kept repeating how the school is safe, how the other students are safe, as if the discussion was whether the school is safe or not.
Okay.
I don't think that was the debate. The debate was a different thing. But just like you're saying, yes, the VC is more about, don't worry, the school is safe. Actually, she was out there, she deferred, to mean that there is nothing to be talked about in the school.
Do you think it's because yesterday we saw the Rongo University students take to the street, so this is also a measure to quell them and tell them, hey, relax, the authorities are on this?
Yeah, I think that is what he might have taken the opportunity to try and address within the context. But I think if he was to speak, according to me, he was supposed to tell a different thing than assuring the students, because the lady was not picked at school.
Yes.
So there is nobody who is claiming that the school left the lady loose, or the school left
in any
the
case,
guest.
university students, you can't control
And
them.
in any case, yes, university students are free to move in and out.
Okay.
So I think he missed the angle, according to me.
Susan, your observation from his remarks, because that threw me off somehow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think there was an element of him trying to show that the school is not responsible for it. I mean, we are aware that the school is not responsible, but I think him coming out to just say that it's not is a good thing. Okay. However, now digressing into issues of whether the rest of the students are safe, I believe that was it was irrelevant anyway. Okay. But I think the students coming out to protest and them trying to cool them down, probably, I mean, they should be allowed to express themselves as they wish to, as long as they're not destroying property. And so I think it's okay for them to come out and state the claim and just remove responsibility from themselves. However, I think it's not for them to tell us. They should probably give us more information on whether the investigators have talked to them, what kind of investigations is happening in their school, who else has been talked to by maybe on an investigation point of view would have been a better thing to talk about rather than safety of students.
Okay. At the United Generations movement, I'm wondering, this is one of the things that probably is core and is key, right? Yes. Tell us the students expressing themselves, and it might help to note that there's an organization in Mombasa that is heading that way, actually, that is even thinking of organizing a protest in solidarity on the same.
I think, first and foremost, Ken, I want to express my deep condolences to the family, and also to the school, and also the students, because what happened was very bad. It was brutal, and if we have to address these issues as an organization, we are saying that should not be the trend, because we have had similar incidents that happened before. So we have to address this issue the way they are. If the culprits, serious culprits, have to be brought to book. We are saying as an organization, and also as an organization.
But how is that done without investigations? I mean, you first have to afford investigations, yes, right? An opportunity.
And that's why we are saying the investigation authority should be able to move with speed, because we have had these incidents. They have taken so long in terms of investigation. Then the culprits are out there. So if this thing has to happen, let's have the investigation authority move with speed. Get the culprit, the serious culprit, not the small fish. The serious culprit have to be brought to book. Okay. Yes, and taken to court and charged with murder, because this was a student and claimed and she was pregnant, and we cannot just as an organization leave it at there. We're also going to plan something about it, even if it's going to be a demonstration or something. We have to plan it
against who or against what? Against
what happened, because the students. She was a student.
Okay.
And if we leave it at that only to the authorities, then we also be failing as an organization. And also
but at what point, for example, would you get in? At what point would you get in? She was a student. Yes. She had deferred studies. She's a grown-up. She was 24 years old, and she had her relationship and she got pregnant. I mean, the only issue now is she got pregnant, she was abducted, and she was arrested. How do you come in? That's the issue, because the issue is she can have any relationship, external, internal, in the universities or not, right? Yes. But now the aspect that concerns many Kenyans is the fact that she was kidnapped, not even pregnant, she was kidnapped. Yes. And she was kidnapped together with Barak Oduor, who's a journalist. Yes. Barak managed to escape. Yes. She was found dead the following day, or the same day, right? That's the only issue here. It's not about the other ones, being a student, whatever. It's an issue. Yes.
As an organization, it's a coalition of different political parties. Okay. Youth serving organization, student unions. Okay. Youth from different political parties who are also, we have merged together. So we'll be failing on our part if we just let only the students to play that part in terms of advocating for this. We have to address this issue the way they are. Even if I was saying it was just a planned event, that we can be able to do a demonstration, we can be able to do a press about it, we can also write letters, especially to those concerned in this issue, also to address them, because claims that there were serious individuals who were involved in this matter. Okay. Yeah.
And you're right to say claims, right? Yes. You're right to say claims. Yes, yes. And how do you substantiate the claims? You allow investigations. Yes. Don't you think you'll be putting the cart before the horse?
We are just giving it a little bit time. Okay. Yes. If the investigation is going to take long, then we are going to come in.
Okay. Yes. Oh, so you'll wait to the tail end of the investigation.
Yes.
And I think the DCI did a good job. Straight yesterday by 10:11, we had been told they're moving to the ground, and Bernardo has confirmed that they're moving to the ground. I think that was very swift of the DCI. Yeah.
I mean, being swift or not, will only be judged
at the end.
Depending on what the results are, because. I mean, there are many times that people come out and say, we're doing investigations, but for how long? I mean, we still don't know what happens in things that happened even years ago. So I think the outcome is what we're waiting for. But I'm very disheartened by the fact that people decided to take another approach in justifying Sharon's death online, in talking about how, she went for a sponsor and all that. I mean, that's a non-issue. This is an individual who was killed unfairly, and justice needs to be brought, because we can't justify her death because she was in a sponsorship relationship. I mean, that's a choice on her own. If that's what she decided to do, then that's fine, but that doesn't warrant her to be killed.
Yes, Meshach.
Yes, for me there are two things which have been confirmed and are realities. That Sharon was alive one time and was not sick, and now Sharon is dead. Those have been confirmed beyond reasonable doubt. So for me, the angle that the authorities would have taken is there is a journalist who gave the story even before the death of Sharon was established. This is confirming his story, Oduor. So for me, he is supposed to tell, I don't know, I am not speaking for him, but I'm just saying, has the authorities been able to reach out to him to get as much details as possible? Because for now, he is the only lead to even establishing the truth. Because he spoke about it, supposedly Sharon was not found up to now, his story would still be 50-50. Whether there was danger somewhere or in the life of a Kenyan, whether him or Sharon, people would still be talking about it is 50-50, not yet established. But now that the body has been found in a forest, and he talked about the danger before, he is the only lead that we are having here. Has the authorities been able to get as much details from him as possible? And if he has mentioned anyone, are all those mentioned inside some custody? And then we can say, we investigate, and when we find you are not culpable, you go out. When we find you're not culpable, you go out. Because death has happened already.
Yes, and it's confirmed.
And it's confirmed. So for me, that is the root.
And there is, and there is someone who spoke to that
and
before
he is
even
alive.
Sharon was declared dead.
Yes.
He just said, I've just escaped from two people who kidnapped me, and this is what happened. But I'm wondering, where do we begin this conversation? Because now that you're talking about the other angle that Kenyans took, right, with the death of Sharon, do you think this conversation needs to start with the students?
Maybe
or it's a matter of choice?
Yeah. Maybe just before you come in, Susan, for me, the angle that people are beginning to take of relationship and all that, there is no question about relationship. And for sure, who does not sponsor a relationship? Every relationship is sponsored.
Speak for yourself.
No, I am not saying
in a bad way
against the lady or ladies. Even a lady can sponsor her own relationship. So either way, there is someone sponsoring what you're doing. Either way, whether it is a lady who does or a man, but someone must, because you can't go out without money. Who does? If you have to spend money. So whether you're spending from a lady or you're spending from a man, it is sponsored. So that is not supposed to be a debate here. And again, Kenyans on online should not push us to a level where we are going to choose between the two. We are not saying we have to either choose whether Sharon was wrong to have a relationship or not. We're just saying death has happened. They are both bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's bad.
All right. Let's talk about where the conversation begins. Susan.
No, I think it should begin and end with what happened to Sharon and justice for Sharon's family. Whether she was in a relationship or not, that is a non-issue. Whether she was pregnant or not, that is a non-issue. So let's get justice for Sharon, and that's it, period.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in terms of educating, because of the shift in terms of what we should be looking at, a criminal offense has been committed. There are people mentioned. There's a witness, a living witness, and then there's a shift of the narrative from what led to her death, and as opposed to her death. You know, that's what happened. We shifted from what led to her death to her death. So should the conversation begin in school? Is it even possible? Because to me, being a lawyer, I know the law does not concern itself with the issues it cannot enforce. So is it even a conversation we can have our students and then discuss in schools? Is it even possible?
Yes, it's not possible, but also let's look at this angle whereby the issues of relationship should not even be brought on this picture first, because this is a choice. If someone chooses today to live with someone and get a sponsor, that is their own issues. What we are concerned here is about the issues of life, that a life has been lost here.
Okay.
So we want justice for that family, because the family have spent a lot of money. The family have spent a lot of money. The parent, sorry to say so, the parent have invested, especially the father was a teacher, has invested a lot of resources to the kid. So they want justice for the family. If you start going against that and start talking about the relationship, that this is sponsored, it was not sponsored, those are non-issues.
They are non-issues.
These are non-issues. Let us address the issues which is the justice for the family, because the family are looking to the authorities to get justice for them.
Okay.
I think just to answer your question, whether this is a conversation that needs to be had, it should be had, but not in relation to Sharon's death. So yes, this issue of having sponsored relationship and everything is a big concern in the society at this point, but it should be discussed not in relation to Sharon's death. So let's finish with Sharon. Let's get justice for her, and then we can talk about sponsored relationships later.
Okay, because it definitely and inevitably changes the conversation.
It does.
Awesome. All right. The fact that the investigating authorities, right, until now, there is not much that has been spoken. Does it increase anxiety, or what does it do to a populace such as a child populace? Because majority of Kenyans are made of young people. The fact that until now they haven't spoken, because at intervals we shouldn't be getting briefs. Here is where we are. These are the people we have summoned. Here is the reason we are summoning them. I mean, DCI has been quiet on this since yesterday.
The only thing you could hear is the school going to tell parents, don't worry. I don't know, don't worry about what? Because that is not the concern of the parents right now. The concern of the parents right now is to get the real truth about who exactly killed their daughter.
Okay.
And how far is that person in terms of getting justice. And they are not even briefing anybody about that. And then the investigative authorities might not be concerned even about the family. And if they are, perhaps they are just going to ask the family about Sharon that was alive, not the real thing, because they are, if at all anybody would establish to me now that the person who stands as the witness number one has not been interviewed and has not given more details, then it is a zero work to even go to parents to talk to them about Sharon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, stay with me. I'd like to conclude that discussion when we come from this break. But first, let's talk about some other thing that we're going to talk about, by the way, the Kenya and foreign relations. President Uhuru Kenyatta just a week ago was in the US. Yes. He left the US and came here and met Theresa May, then left straight to China. Now he is headed to Rwanda. So we'd like to talk about that as soon as we conclude this discussion. But first, African countries have been challenged to invest more in agriculture as a way of making Africa food secure and have surplus for export. Our reporter Ken Mijungu is in Kigali, Rwanda, and spoke to the Eastern Africa Sub-Regional Coordinator, Dr. David Firi.
Well, African countries are meeting in Kigali, Rwanda to discuss the future of agriculture and as a key driver to food security in the continent. Most of the things that are being said here is that food security is important, but also the political will is one of the themes that should be focused on so much. On Saturday this week, presidents from the countries that are represented here will be coming, and they will be told about what has transpired and what the discussants have actually agreed with regards to their political will and securing the continent with regards to small-scale farmers and their use in driving agriculture and driving what is supposed to be food security in the continent. I'm now joined by FAO representative, Dr. David Firi, who will be giving us what they have actually been able to discuss and what we do expect to come out of this discussion with regards to concrete answers and a way forward. What do you think of it, Dr.
Look, I think this meeting is very important because it's the leaders will have to express their commitment not only to their own political will, which they have already expressed through the Maputo Declaration in 2003, as well as the Malabo Declaration in 2014. But how they are going to express that political will into action. Because in Africa, we have a lot of documentation, signatures have been made, but in effect, very little is happening on the ground. This is not to say that a lot of progress is being made, but if we are going to make any progress with regard to agricultural transformation, I think the heads of state and government will need to show greater commitment than appears to be the case up till now.
So that commitment has also been accused. African leaders have actually been accused of not coming together so much, but there are countries that have been able to do this and they have actually been able to spur growth. How differently are they doing it? And they're not actually looking forward or looking at what are other African countries not doing enough with regards to this political will to make sure that this thing happens?
Just to talk about we are going to reduce hunger or to eradicate hunger by 2025 is not enough. And leave the work to the Ministry of Agriculture. Reduction of hunger requires coordination of different ministries. It also requires financial resources to be put, whether it's at the service of the Ministry of Agriculture or other ministers, to make sure that we come to the conclusion that this is really what we want. So far, it seems that agriculture is not getting the sort of resources that it deserves. So, for example, in Maputo as well as in Malabo, the heads of state agreed that they're going to put 10% of their own national resources to agriculture. In effect, only a handful of countries have actually reached that. Okay? It shows that the others need to move in that direction so that we know that they're really committed to improving agriculture in their economies. Because agriculture matters. Agriculture matters because it employs the largest population in their different countries. It also is the greatest, in many cases also, is the biggest source of exports in the countries. So I think it is important that leaders put their money where their mouth is.
Well, speaking of putting the money where their mouth is, there is the other aspect that is coming up, and that is youth in agriculture. And it is actually one of the most important things. Some of them who have actually ventured into agriculture in some countries are harvesting or are harnessing the fruits of agriculture, but it is still being seen as one of the programs that is for the old. What would you have to say about this?
FAO is passionate about making sure that the future of agriculture is in the hands of the youth. This is why here in Kigali, we together with the African Union Commission, as well as the Rwandan government, we hosted a meeting specifically on youth employment in agriculture. Good news is the tide is turning. The youth are realizing how important their participation in agriculture is. There are still few, but there are increasing numbers of young people. And the trend that is coming out now is that it is graduates, people who have got degrees or even beyond, that are now participating in agriculture. This is good news for the future of agriculture. I think this idea of an average farmer of being 55 years old, old person, okay, this one will have to go. We need younger and younger people to move into agriculture. The business of feeding the world population is a huge business. And we need young people, young minds, innovative minds, how we can feed the whole population that is growing. In the next, by 2050, the population of the world will have doubled. We need people that are young, innovative minds to go into agriculture and feed the world. But importantly, they do not do that because they want to feed the world. We know that the net effect is to feed the world. But for them, it's incomes. So far, agriculture in many places is practiced as if it's a way of living. Agriculture is a serious business. And we have seen the youth that are involved in agriculture, that are taking it that very, very seriously.
Well, we want to leave it at that particular point, whereby the youth are actually being called upon to join this field that is agriculture, and not do it as just a way of life, but as business. It is one of the things that we'll be looking up to as this conference goes on up to the 8th of this month. And we will be looking to see whether at the end of it all, more youth are going to be encouraged to join agriculture. As Dr. says, most of those who have actually joined agriculture and are practicing agriculture are already making enough money, not just for themselves, but also for their families and the communities in which they do represent. As for now, it's back to you in studio.
Ken Mijungu is reporting from Kigali, Rwanda. Definitely we'll have another report from Kigali later on. Time now to take a short break on NTV Today. When we come back, KNUT is responding. We'll try and get them on air if we can, but we'll also try and speak to Sharon Baranga, who's reporting from the KNUT headquarters. For now, we take a break. We also still have the panel in studio. Stay with us. And we are back on NTV Today. Stay with us because we still have the panel here. But now let's take you to KNUT headquarters, where the KNUT officials are currently addressing the stalemate between TSC and their union.
And the Kenya Constitution Section 41 to participate in the activities of their union, which the teachers of Masaba did exactly by participating and picketing. We want to call upon the Teacher Service Commission to withdraw all the show cause letters that they have written to our members in Masaba branch, failure of which, as a union, we shall invoke a machinery that the Teacher Service Commission is going to regret. Our position is very clear. Let them reverse that policy of delocalization. Let them reverse the letters that they have written to our members in Masaba branch with immediate effect. Because this issue does not even affect teachers in Masaba only. It is going to be replicated, and they'll see it in all the branches, because teachers are not happy about the policies. And if they have to introduce any policy, then the Teacher Service, then the Kenya National Union of Teachers must be involved, and that is the spirit. The spirit is they listen to us, we listen to them. If they don't, then God knows what we are going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the position, and that is the chairman's statement. When the Secretary General issues a statement, he's doing that on behalf of the Kenyan teachers who are members of KNUT. And when the National Treasurer acts, he's doing it on behalf of teachers. He was elected. The idea of personalizing and segregating and targeting leaders of this union is not acceptable. We shall not accept it, and we shall not take it lying down. It's now my humble pleasure to call upon the Secretary General to now issue a proper position, because he's the spokesperson of this union, about those issues we shared deeply with the Teacher Service Commission. Secretary General, welcome.
Thank you, National Chairman. First and foremost, you are all aware that Kenya National Union of Teachers issued an ultimatum to the Teacher Service Commission that teachers shall down tools with effect from 1st of September should certain matters are not addressed, and particularly beginning with the promotion of teachers and total and full reinstatement of the schemes of services that govern the promotion and progression guidelines of teachers, among others. And a meeting was closed with a clear agenda laid out. And number one item was promotion. Mr. National Chairman, we went into that meeting with the spirit of commitment to industrial relations and with the spirit of resolving the issues that were outstanding. In the recent past, we have seen sustained communication from the Teacher Service Commission that shall only serve to deteriorate the engagement that we had. And we have chosen today to set the record straight on all matters. And we shall be extremely clear on all the issues. First, on behalf of the teachers in the Republic of Kenya, we would like to sincerely thank the head of state of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, for stepping in to save the teachers' families threatened by the policy of delocalization, which was carelessly introduced by the Teacher Service Commission. His rare intervention in the state has truly and honestly made the teachers of the Republic happy and convinced that the family is safe, as it forms the core model of teaching and morality of our society. The foundation of good teaching and morals in our society is founded in strong and stable families of teachers. That is a fact. And those of us who have gone through foundations in education, teachers are classified as agents of change, even in terms of raising their families. Further, we know too well the global starving norms is that teachers should be deployed closer to their communities where they are linguistically connected, culturally connected, emotionally connected, so that they can effectively teach their learners. And while doing so, they should think globally and act locally. And that is well within the SDG agenda. So first and foremost, we must thank the President. That must go on record. And if anything, the President's statement scaled down all the tensions and emotions. And that is why we committed ourselves as a union to proceed to the table. But pursuant to a consultative meeting between the Kenya National Union of Teachers and Teacher Service Commission on the above-mentioned date, we would like to clarify as follows, that the two parties mutually agreed to form a CBA Monitoring and Evaluation Committee, CBA Monitoring and Evaluation Committee, which will work on the implementation of the CBA during its entire life, among others, until the 30th of June 2021, when the current CBA expires. The CBA is not a patent property and private property of the Teachers Service Commission. It is a property of both parties. And Teachers Service Commission cannot and shall not originate any policy from the CBA without participation and engagement of both parties. And here, during this meeting, we demanded for the withdrawal of all circulars which were crafted and circulated without the involvement of the Teacher Service Commission. The withdrawal of teachers' delocalization policy, total withdrawal, is not something that we're negotiating. And free suspension of teacher professional development pending proper consultation, because the teachers of Kenya shall not use their salaries to pay for continuous capacity building, which is against the employment law. Employment law is very clear. Any capacity building shall be undertaken for any worker at the cost of the employer. Because TSC seeks to make 4.5 billion annually from teachers through these programs, which is against the law. That is robbery of teachers' salaries. And three and four, address the delayed teachers' promotion and fully reinstate the schemes of services which exist in law. 5, withdrawal and abolition of teacher performance appraisal development and performance contracting. Those were our demands. And they remain unvaried, up to date. They remain unvaried, unchanged. And TSC know as much. During the meeting, which by any standards was fruitful, TSC admitted framing policies without the involvement of KNUT. And consequently, the Commission apologized to teachers and the union in that meeting. They tendered an apology. At the end of the meeting, nothing conclusive or substantial was reached as regards the review of the aforementioned policies, which occasioned the formation of the CBA Monitoring and Evaluation Committee and the scheduling of a retreat on September 30th to 5th of October, why then would you schedule a retreat of 5 days if there are no substantial issues? We've noted certain statements that even promotion was not discussed. The letter that invited us, item number 1 was promotion and the schemes of services, which is a right to the teachers of this country. I'll mention it shortly. It is worth noting that Teacher Service Commission framed the policies in contention. While framing the policies, it never considered the collective bargaining agreement as a guiding light, and was still the Commission disregarded the Code of Regulation for Teachers, which among other things outlines how, and the Code of Regulation for Teachers is here. It's a legal document. It remains binding. It outlines the privileges and rights of all teachers in this country. And you know, as an employer, you cannot originate policies that contravene the Code of Regulation. They become outrightly illegal. So this is ignorant operation and ignorant working by the Teacher Service Commission, which we were able to prove that they are illegal, their activities are illegal, which among other things outlines how teachers in the teaching service should be promoted through the existing schemes of services. However, immediately after the meeting, TSC NAT meeting, for strange reasons, the Commission's communication department resorted on distortion of facts, misinformation, and misinterpretation of the CBA, which we treated as a deliberate attempt to derail the engagements during the retreat. You don't need to be a student of logics to know what the other party intends is a strategy to derail the meeting that is in place. Lately, the Commission's Corporate Affairs, or the Teacher Service Commission, through the Commission's Corporate Affairs and Communication Department, has passed over the baton to the legal officer, one Timon Oyucho, who, despite having a sound legal background and having participated in previous NAT TSC meetings, is misleading TSC and has been in many meetings on the implementation of the CBA, has demonstrated shameless resolve to mislead the public, to mislead the Commission, and in particular teachers of the unwillingness of NAT to see that the CBA is fully implemented. Despite of NAT acting within the spirit of industrial harmony and maintaining labor peace in the teaching service, TSC through the legal officers continued to mislead teachers and the Commission on the outcome of the teachers and the public on the outcome of the August 23rd consultative meeting. This has to stop with immediate effect. An employer that has a responsibility on a workforce that molds the morals of the children in our society must act with utmost honesty. The well-choreographed propaganda and the timing of the press statements by Teacher Service Commission is suspect, as it is coming weeks to the much anticipated retreat. It is regrettable and quite unfortunate that the Commission is maliciously attempting to engage in savage attacks of the union leadership and members through letters written in bad faith. Of course, transferring of union officials is an attack. Even writing warnings to executive secretaries who are registered and authorized to exercise their mandate is definitely in bad faith, and this amounts to nothing but declaration of war and intention to try to micromanage and run Kenya National Union of Teachers. Never. TSC shall never run the affairs of NAT, and TSC shall never attack the rights of Kenya National Union of Teachers or any trade unions as provided for in Section 41 of the Constitution. Further, TSC is acting unconstitutionally by intimidating our members who attend our AGMs in exercise of their constitutional rights as per Article 41 of the Constitution. Annual general meetings are held in all our 110 branches every year. And it is a right of members to attend and participate in activities of our general meetings. That's a right. And they are doing so within their constitution. And therefore, TSC cannot engage in dubious methods of trying to pick out and isolate members who participate in our activities and write warning letters. That is unconstitutional, and it will be met with stiff resistance. There is no police report to the effect that I and the National Treasurer incited teachers to raid and invade TSC offices with the intention of destroying the commission property. KNUT therefore calls on TSC to issue an apology to the union and the teaching fraternity for tainting the image of the profession. A letter has already gone out, which is very specific on our demands to the TSC. In the meantime, we call on our members to attend all our AGMs in numbers and participate fully in all the activities of our AGMs freely as workers who enjoy their trade union rights as provided for in the Constitution. We also urge our members to keep their, and we have to be very clear about it. KNUT is not a subset of Teacher Service Commission. It's a free and independent union. And when we issue directive, we don't issue them in vain. We say it and we do it in broad daylight. That all teachers in the Republic of Kenya should keep their distance from teacher performance and appraisal development, TPADs. They should keep away completely for this term. We urge our members and we appeal to the teaching fraternity to stick to professional tools which include the syllabus, be conversant with the syllabus, have it, the schemes of work. They must prepare the schemes of work, the lesson plans, the lesson notes, the records of work, the quality teaching aids, the MacBook, and prepare quality exams for their children. That's the only thing they should have this term. And more importantly, spend your time in class, not in cyber cafes. That we are very clear about it. And that directive is a directive to our members, and they shall comply. In the same spirit, we call on the Teacher Service Commission not to engage non-parties to the CBA in labor matters, particularly professional associations and even parties that have not raised any dispute. You've noted when we raise this dispute, there were side shows of trying to invite other parties to purport to be addressing. These are labor issues that are squarely within the present and the purview of a trade union that is registered and recognized within the ILO standards. These are the KNUT demands. That one, Teacher Service Commission withdraws unconditionally the career progression guidelines which purportedly replace the 3 schemes of service in the teaching service. It should consequently revoke its circular of 2nd of May 2018, which is illegal. The 3 schemes of services in the teaching profession are protected by the Code of Regulation for Teachers, which form an integral part of the collective bargaining agreement. And I would like to make it very clear. The schemes of services outlines various promotions, as I will go through it. And teachers benefit to the tune of 5 billion annually. And the mere abolition of the same means teachers will lose benefiting 5 billion annually from these schemes of services. Number 3, the CBA clearly states that career progression in the teaching service, because they've been quoting the CBA, today we are quoting the CBA, shall be implemented as provided under Part 4 of the Code of Regulations for Teachers. This is the CBA that we signed together with the Teacher Service Commission. And in clause number 12, career progression, it says clearly, parties agree that career progression in the teaching service shall, and the word shall in law is mandatory, it's not optional, shall be implemented as provided under Part 5 of the Code of Regulation for Teachers. Part 6. Part 6 of the Code of Regulation begins from Section 73 up to Section 76, and is very clear. It recognizes the schemes of services. Teachers shall be promoted according to the schemes of services. How then do you develop career guidelines that are not protected by the CBA itself and even the Code of Regulations? Squarely in simple understanding of law, the action by TSC is illegal. The Code of Regulation outlines that the Commission shall promote teachers in accordance with the existing schemes of service, which provide for common cadre establishment promotion. That includes teachers coming in with new qualifications, and also competitive promotions. The Commission shall, in promoting a teacher, consider the existing schemes of service, and in particular, there are 4 areas. Area number 1, which is A, is merit and ability as reflected in the teacher's work performance. Those teachers who do well, either in games, in class, outstanding, are promoted on this premise. It's already codified here. And the number 2, seniority and experience as set out in the schemes of service. Teachers who have served for a long time are automatically captured and promoted on the basis of experience. That cannot be thrown out. And C, existence of vacancies. We have no problem with this. The common cadres could always be expanded and budgeted for. And D, academic and professional qualification. And this is an ILO UNESCO right. It's contained in the Status on the Recommendation of Teachers of 1966. Intellectual rights of teachers. That you advance your studies to a certificate, diploma, degree, master's, PhD, it must be recognized from the date of graduation. That is a practice that TSC cannot discard. And particularly when we want quality teachers, quality teachers can only be achieved if we recognize academic credentials and qualifications of teachers and continuous studies of teachers. Continuing education cannot even compare with modules. Degree, certificate, masters, and PhD shall be superior than any modules that TSC are trying to lay out. TSC should stop with immediate effect personalizing matters when NAD discusses teacher policy issues and grievances. They should stop putting our names in their media briefs. Otherwise, we'll sue them. We speak as elected representatives of the teachers of this country, and we shall not be repressed. The more they do that, then we'll escalate our voices. TSC should stop threatening teachers with disciplinary action when they only exercise their labor rights as contained in the Constitution 2010 by attending our AGMs and participating in its activities. That should not be done. The AGMs that are coming up this weekend in various parts of the country, we are urging our members to attend, and we shall all attend, and they will be free to do anything and everything that is acceptable within our labor practices to express themselves. That one they are at liberty. And TSC should prepare to write 312,000 show cause letters to all the teachers of the Republic of Kenya. The Teacher Service Commission, having violated the CBA 2017-2021 and the Code of Regulations for Teachers, hence the Commission should appropriately move with speed within the window period of between now and 30th. Remember, the strike is only suspended, and it shall be recalled promptly without any warning should. The retreat of 30th to 5th must provide solutions, failure of which they should know exams will begin in November. They might have no examiners to supervise, and even to prepare students. And so the Teacher Service Commission, hence the Commission should appropriately move with speed and put the existing policies in proper perspective and within law. They have a window of opportunity through the committee that we have established, and we have seconded eminent professionals so that we'll get it right. If we get it right, it shall be right for a longer time. The TPAD and performance contracting are not serving the purpose they were created for. If anything, it's creating what you call workplace bullying of teachers. It is deprofessionalizing teaching. It is removing teachers from the classroom, and we want teachers back to the classroom. The reason why we call on teachers not to engage in these appraisal tools forthwith. They should not fear TSC or anybody. Our absence in its development violates the provisions of the CBA, and hence it is illegal in its current form. The CBA is very clear. Any tool used to measure teachers annually, and it's only annual, it's done once, annually. The tool to measure must be developed by both parties. But when TSC graciously and gloriously locked themselves up in Kampala, we know they locked themselves in Kampala, and wasted Kenyan resources in Arusha, and took some funny flights to Dubai, and came with these documents, we shall not accept them. And they are not acceptable by all teachers in Kenya. They are merely illegal, and illegal documents are destroyed, and we shall destroy them because they are illegal. TSC should respect and honor the presidential directive on reversing delocalization. The president pronounced himself. The president is the head of state. The head of state. And he did not pronounce himself from the blues. We want to see the head of state of the republic at all times respected by everyone and by government institutions. TSC is not so independent that it is independent from the nation of Kenya. It's an organ within the nation of Kenya. The TSC should respect and honor the presidential directive on reversing delocalization policy without further delay to enable affected teachers to rejoin their families. This one we are not negotiating. Those teachers who have refused to take up their appointments, which in any case they never applied for, should be reinstated with the immediate effect. And we shall do anything to defend them until they are reinstated as were directed by the president. Those who are willing to move, we have no problem. Yeah. Those who are willing to move, it's okay. And those who are not willing, they have a window of opportunity through the president's directive. And we are sticking to that. TSC should unconditionally apologize. TSC is not an institution from heaven. It's a body created by the citizens of Kenya. And is accountable, it should be accountable first to the teachers of Kenya. It cannot molest and force teachers to try to be accountable to itself in a manner of servitude. It should unconditionally apologize to the union for trying to tarnish the image of its national leaders, and also desist from trying to micromanage and run affairs of the union. That is not the mandate of TSC. You can't run a union. Do your business. And by implicating the leaders in acts of hooliganism and property destruction, it must apologize and withdraw. TSC has to respect the CBA Monitoring and Evaluation Committee to steer dialogue and guarantee industrial peace. If they don't respect this committee, then they should prepare for a total lockout from 5th of October. And we said simply and clearly, you know too well our members were ready, but we have respected the president's directive, we have respected and we have constituted our team, and that team must be allowed to work and deliver results that are acceptable to us. What is acceptable to teachers is good for this nation and is good for the classroom. The two TSC officers, and we shall name them by names. One Kihumba Kimodo.
Right, that's KNUT versus the Teachers Service Commission, and Wilson Sosion speaking there very passionately about the tiff or perceived tiff between the National Union of Teachers and the Teachers Service Commission. Our very own Sharon Baranga will be speaking to us about that, but a couple of issues that he has talked about. For example, the intimidation of teachers by the Teachers Service Commission, and of course they've talked about the appraisals by the teachers and telling the teachers to keep away, but most important, redirecting the teachers back to classrooms. We'll be talking to Sharon later on about that as soon as we can get her on air if Sosion finishes his conversation right there. But in studio, I'm still with my guests. We're discussing a lot of issues, but because of the time on the clock, I think, ladies and gentlemen, we'll focus on the fuel prices and the high cost of living. And being young people in this country and watching from the sidelines, of course, the policymakers have spoken, but at least you have an input in this. Yesterday, most petrol stations ran dry and people are suffering at home. They are unable to buy the cooking paraffin. And of course, this in relation to the ripple effect to the factories, manufacturing sector, it's a lot of pain for the common mwananchi. I'd like your perspective in this. Let me begin with you.
I think we need to address the issue of the 16% VAT from perspective of if the president to sign the finance bill so that we can be able to leverage the common mwananchi out of the pain, because they cannot even be able to do business.
What if he doesn't sign it? Because that's also a possibility.
Then that will be able now to, the common mwananchi will have to go will undergo a lot of pressure, because there's a lot of problem, there's a lot of hike in products, in the prices of the products. Even the the businesses of the small scale business cannot undergo, because of they cannot be able to do business. The fuel because of the fuel price, because also there's a high. If you check, there's hike in the prices of the products.
That we already know.
Yes.
But my question is, what if the president doesn't do what we think he will do?
Then we'll have to wait.
For what?
Maybe to go on and keep pressuring the parliamentarians.
But Parliament has done its job. I mean, what more could they do than just amend the bill? They have done that, right?
Yes.
The Finance Bill 2018, they've done it. So what more can you tell parliamentarians? I mean, it's even unprocedural to think that Parliament can again handle this. They've done the bit.
I think the issue of taxation, we have to take it in a different angle.
Okay.
In terms of if Parliament, they had this budget in place. Okay. And you see, there's a way they're trying to play around, coming right now and trying to project and say that these issues need to be addressed. These things were brought to them. They were not addressed at that time. So we have to take the blame to them. The common mwananchi.
You're talking about 2013 when it first hit Parliament?
Yes, the first time. They were there. Most of them, they're trying now to move around and say that these issues were not, they were targeting about the percentage, the VAT at that time because of the debt. But if we address these issues at early stage, we wouldn't be having this conversation this time. So we need to address them the way they are at this time.
But you see, in 2013, this was just a precautionary or cautionary loan. I mean, that Kenya has never utilized since IMF put it in place. So in 2013, they postponed it for 2 years. They postponed it again. And right now we are asking parliamentarians, no, they have actually postponed it to 2020. It's the same project, problem. But my question is, and now to Susan, what happens if the president, because there are two ways about this, is his prerogative, you can't say he will or he won't. We're relying on sentiments of Raila Odinga, who said the president will sign the amended bill. What if it doesn't happen?
I think the whole introduction of the VAT was to address an issue of not having sufficient resources. But already as we look at it, government resources are not exactly spent in the most efficient way. And so if the president doesn't sign this bill, then we should probably go into the accountability aspects of it. Deal with the corruption issues, come up with ways to reclaim assets that are owned by government, that are in individuals' pockets, and that way we can probably raise more resources. But at this point, I really do think the president really needs to sign the bill.
Okay.
Also, at the same time,
but signing the bill just cushions Kenyans.
It does for just a short time, but in real sense, that cushion is needed.
Okay.
But then I don't want us to create a scenario where, you know, the president has come and signed the bill and now he's the hero of the world. This story is there because of him. Okay. As the leader of government, he should have listened to critiques when they were talking about the government, the debt going high. He should have listened to critiques when they were talking about corruption. And I know people are looking at him and saying, yeah, you know, he's doing something about corruption. But until today, we do not have convictions.
I agree with you. I agree with you before
so
I speak.
I still think it's his fault.
Yes, I agree with you before I speak to Meshach, because one, austerity.
Yeah.
Secondly, I am told by economists that the amount of money we lose in this town, in this nation, every weekend is about 2 billion. Let's multiply that by 52 weeks, right? Every week, 2 billion shillings. Ostensibly, we're losing $500 billion at the end of the year.
Yeah.
What can $500 billion do for this country? I mean, even austerity, cutting down the measures and all. So I agree with you, Meshach. I agree with you.
Yeah, two things, Ken. Before we get to the point where the president signs or not signs, I have two things here. Just like you said, you mentioned earlier, this was given to us by IMF so that we can secure some precautionary loans with them, so in case we need.
We need it, and we've never done it.
But we've never done it.
Yes,
we've never needed that. So that tells one thing, that we don't need this.
We don't need it.
We don't need it.
And the other argument, if we postponed it twice, why can't we do a third and a fourth, and then we do away with it completely?
we have postponed it twice.
Yes.
And nothing has happened to us. It means it shows further that we do not need it.
Yes.
So that law should go away completely.
Yes.
Okay.
So even if the president will sign, let him sign, but parliamentarians needs to pick it from his signing and do away with that.
But the fact that we've never needed it doesn't mean we may not need it. And let me tell you the scenario. How much money are we borrowing? Look at the other day in China. 60 billion, man. If we haven't needed it now, we are paying SGR. We are paying all these loans. We are getting 5 trillion, which is making losses, by the way. We are heading to 5 trillion, right?
Yes.
And then perhaps tutafika mahali, we'll not be able to pay. So we'll go back to IMF and say, hey, man, for this month, 20K cheki.
But there is this other component you're forgetting. You know, we wanted to bridge a gap of around 70 billion.
Yes, 75.
75 billion.
Yes.
Now take it this way. I'm not an economist by profession, but I would literally look at this and see. If I was to be forced as a Kenyan today to pay 16% on petroleum products, then it will mean I will go and cut my cost on some other things. So the government is waiting for me. If I was buying 3 breads for my family every morning, I should continue buying 3 and also pay this so that the 75 billion
and your income is
found.
Yeah.
But look at what citizens are going to do. They are simply going to stop buying 3 breads. They are going to buy one. And then pay for this 16%. So at the end of the day, government is still going to lack that 70 because I have only moved from one corner to another corner. They have not put us in a situation where I am going to maintain this as I also pay them this so that they can break that gap.
And just to add on before you move on, I think the saddest thing is we are a lot of our money, like a third of our budget, is wasted on corruption. Most of the taxpayers' money is either wasted or looted. So that's why you see there's a lot of pain. The many people who have, the Kenyans who have invested a lot of in businesses, they are undergoing a lot of loss. Because now if you go to a different petrol station, there are no fuel. There's no business that is
but
going
it's
on.
they refuse to take the fuel. It's not the case. They've just refused to pick the fuel in protest. That's the reason. It's not like
and
fuel
you see,
is not in the
it is happening that way because of the high price. the common people cannot be able to manage it. So if the government cannot leverage it to the common mwananchi to be able to access it, then that means we are suffering as Kenyans.
Okay.
So we need to address them at that
level.
Yes.
Okay.
I think two things on this issue. First of all, it's not that, I mean, as a Kenyan, it's not that I'm unwilling to pay taxes. I just want to see my taxes working for me. Because at the same time, if we could just see how our taxes are working, then we would even be willing to pay this tax for as long as I get free education, quality education, free healthcare, quality healthcare. I will still give it to government just for it to come back to me. But at the same time, I think this should be a learning experience for Kenyans in terms of what political choices we make and the consequences that they have on us, and even how to react to these consequences, because we can sit down and complain and be like, you know, we are oppressed, whatever, but this can be a turning point for the nation to decide to do something about it, for citizens to actually come together. And I'm happy that the oil distributors have decided not to distribute, because you see, even if they shut down the whole economy, it is fine. For 2 days, it is fine. But if citizens are able to understand the consequences of our choices, then it's a learning experience for the country. So I hope they're not arrested. I can see
no, they won't be arrested. Actually, on AM Live this morning, one of the directors said that if they stop antagonizing the government and the distribution process, then their licenses that were suspended yesterday will be reassigned to them. So it's a good thing. You mentioned before we move to president signing or not. I'm interested to go back to that conversation. Plus, I'd like to know, probably before I leave Susan, one of the contention again is 16% is being charged on already taxed fuel. So you tax fuel, then you impose another 16%. So you're taxing tax. That's also the difficult, right?
Yeah. And that it brings back the point of what is that tax doing anyway? And you see, it's a problem for us to keep losing a third of our budget and then keep paying for it. And not only paying for it, but paying a tax on top of a tax. It's completely unfair for the end consumer, because even when businesses are doing businesses, they will push that 16% cost to the consumer. And so you're the only one who will be left here with nothing. And how fair is that for you? Because you see, you have that tax. You still have probably to deal with policemen on the road who are trying to extort you. You will have to deal with probably kanjo if you're a hawker, if you're someone who's trying to do business. You still have to deal with that. And then at the same time, still come back and pay taxes. How is that even fair for an end consumer? How do you expect us to live? Yeah.
You know, Ken, it blows up my mind a bit to imagine that IMF tried to push us into this. How genuine are IMF to the growth of any nation? IMF are in their business.
IMF is just a bank.
It's just a bank. They are in a business. But I want to say, I keep telling people this. Sometimes we forget the story of where the forest keeps shrinking and the forest keeps voting the axe because they see the handle is made of a wood, and so they think it is one of them. So when we keep thinking that IMF means well to us, we might go to that hole. The other thing that is likely to happen, we might go this route. That is now if the president refused to sign this bill. We might go that route because we are tied, we can't do anything. Maybe there will be protest here and there or anything. But it is going to destabilize other sectors of economy such that even the precautionary loan that we were thinking of, we will use and still remain in deficit, because imposing this has now caused a lot of other effect on other parts of the economy. So we are going to have to pick it as the precautionary, use it, and it is still not enough. So I would rather we remain in this state. If I was to advise the president, I would say, instead of creating more problem in other sectors by this, I would rather we leave that precautionary, they go away with that precautionary loan, we remain the way we were, but broaden our tax base so that we curb corruption, and then we go ahead as a country.
I agree with you 100%.
I'm just wondering why tax was the first option. Why couldn't you do away with the CASs?
It's the easier way out.
Why couldn't you do away with allowances for members of parliament? Why couldn't you do away with the fleet that the president has?
Travel
probably
fleet, yes.
Yeah, just cut half of it probably. Why can't you do away with the CASs, who we still don't know what they do? Why can't you do away with those things instead of coming back to us and asking us for more resources?
Even if they did, I don't think it would be sufficient.
It would be something. It would be something.
A good point to
yeah.
begin. All right, I'm running out of time. I have about 3 minutes on the clock, so I'll give you a minute each to conclude. So I'll begin with you, Sam.
Yes. I think that the whole point is when it was reintroduced in Parliament, that is in 2013 as an act of Parliament, the whole thing, we cannot be able to keep on pushing it. The president has to do away with it at this time.
At some point, he has to make that decision.
Yes, we have to make that decision and move away from that and focus in how we are going to raise the taxes by our own selves. We have to focus on that instead of keep on pushing it, because they are saying it is going to be 2020 or 2022.
They've already pushed it.
They've already pushed. So if we cannot be able to do it away with it, we can be able to move forward as a country. Then focus in how are we going to deal with corruption, because corruption is the one that is killing this country.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Susan.
I just want to leave with that this could be a turning point for us if we just grasp it and understand what kind of like the position that we are in, and that we can actually do something to stop this exploitation that is happening to us as citizens. So I think the more we realize that yes, we're completely overtaxed, we're completely overburdened, then it can lead us to making better political choices, to even involve ourselves when it comes to issues of governance, so that we are not completely ignorant of it, especially people who are in the middle class, who think that this is none of their business, but this is their business.
That's a bad attitude.
Yeah.
Bad attitude. And finally,
my final submission is let's leverage on handshake. The reason why I'm saying let's leverage on handshake is when these things were coming in 2013, we had those divisions, and so one side would push even if it is not a responsible thing. Yeah. They would push because they want to defeat you.
Okay.
The other thing, we kept postponing it. We have seen it does not matter to us. Taking us to the level where we are again going past the debt level that we expect or we are required to have. This is the time we can now leverage on the peace and the so-called building bridges and handshake, so that we can reason on matters that really affect people. Okay. Without that, we would be looking at our people versus their people, our party versus their party. So even if it is unreasonable, the parliamentarians will want to push the agenda because it is their party versus the other one. Okay. So for me, it is important now, when we have something called handshake and building bridges, to actually now talk about the people themselves.
All right, thank you. Very well said. And just to simplify this, because a lot of other Kenyans have not understood it, someone gave me the best example as we close this, that is sort of Meshach telling me, Ken, I know you might need to borrow 50 shillings from me. So Ken, before you need that money, start saving now, so that if you borrow these 50 shillings, I'll know you have some money set aside to pay me back. That's the simplest explanation. All right, thank you, Meshach. Thank you, Susan, and thank you, Samuel, for coming to share with us your perspective. And of course, we continue right here on NTV Today, but time now for entertainment, and Usha is in studio. Usha?
Right, Ken, a lot on the entertainment brief, but first we have to get you smiling. And how do we do that this Thursday? It is with our meme of the day. Check it out. Now, this actually happens to be a favorite of mine because, well, I am a cat person. Here you go. Now, I know you are expecting a meme to do with the oil prices, and there have been a lot of that, and they have been hilarious, but I have been checking them out for the whole week because I wanted to bring you only the best, so look out for that tomorrow. Now, moving on, Jay-Z's Tidal, which is Jay-Z's subscription-based music streaming service, has actually decided to roll out in Africa, but sadly, Kenya is not among the targeted countries. But hey, we can still ride on the team East Africa because they did choose Uganda. That's right, Tidal has been in the Pearl of Africa since the 22nd of August. Now, the first country they chose was South Africa, and rumor has it that they are headed to Nigeria next. Now, it is believed that they chose Nigeria and South Africa first because they have larger youthful population. Tomato Awaze in short. Now, the subscribers get the chance to gain access to exclusive music, videos, concerts, and more. Well, let's hope they will be coming round to Kenya soon. And now to the person I have been accused of always putting on the entertainment brief. I am talking about Diamond. Well, this time he went and braided his hair. Now, I don't even know what to say about this. I guess you can tell from my tone what I think. Tell me what you think, #entertainment brief. Now, he actually apparently said that his mum is the one who brought in someone to braid his hair. So clearly she seems to think that was a good idea. Now, on to movies you should be watching. I myself, I'm not at all a big fan of horror. Not because I don't like the plot, but because the terror stays with me for months after I have watched it. But if you dare, The Nun, of course, is the movie for you. Now, this movie promises that it will be great. I won't be watching, but the movie is for you if you are one of those people who love horror. Now, it's an American gothic supernatural horror film, actually a spin-off from the movie The Conjuring. It's set in Romania in 1956, where a Catholic priest and a sister are sent to investigate the mysterious suicide of a nun at the Carter Monastery, and that's when things begin to get scary. Take a look.
And welcome back to NTV Today. Time now for some news updates for you. And we begin from the KNUT headquarters. The Kenya National Union of Teachers says it will not relent in opposing the teachers' delocalization policy and performance appraisals by the Teachers Service Commission. KNUT Secretary General Wilson Sossion has warned that a planned retreat between the union and TSC must generate solutions or teachers will refuse to supervise national examination. We now joined by Sharon Baranga, who is still at KNUT headquarters, for a brief of that press conference that lasted about 30 minutes. Sharon, good afternoon. Good to see you. Talk to us about what was said, and we know you're also about to speak to Sossion, who held that press conference. But in brief, what was exactly the essence of this press conference?
Thank you very much, Ken. With the Secretary General and the Chairman of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, earlier they addressed us on some of the concerns they've been having with regards to statements that have been coming out of TSC after their 23rd August. And right now, the Secretary General, Wilson Sossion, is going to briefly tell us their plans, even after a retreat that they have that is set to start from the 30th of September to 5th October. Welcome to SET. Now, you've shown that the reports that you mentioned earlier, that there are statements coming out of TSC that are contrary to what you discussed on 23rd August. Briefly tell us what that is all about.
Yeah, what has been emanating from TSC is an act of bad faith. And even prior to the meeting at the Teacher Service Commission, it has turned out very clearly that TSC is working on a script of disrespecting and trying to dismantle the operations of Kenya National Union of Teachers and disrespecting its leadership. The president made an announcement over one of the grievances, and that is on delocalization of teachers, that it was breaking families, and that was total concurrence of our earlier position, which we appreciate as a union. And the president's statement gave us a lot of hopes and the desire to scale down our desire to proceed on strike action, and we committed ourselves to the dialogue process. We had a 7-hour meeting at the Teacher Service Commission, which was candid, clear and honest, and which TSC admitted quite a number of their shortcomings and concurred that our demands were genuine and we needed 5 days to sit in a retreat. We have been disturbed to see mixed signals coming from the Teacher Service Commission through junior officers, which is uncharacteristic when we are dealing with matters of this magnitude that threatens to throw and plunge education in industrial action. And the communications very clearly are very provocative. And that is why we've had to set the record straight. We've been branded as liars, that we've been misinforming the public, that even we did not discuss promotion, when in fact on the invitation letter, item number 1 is on promotion. And we've made our case that even the circulars that TSC have issued are illegal, because the promotion of teachers is codified in the CBA, which recognizes the code of regulation and the schemes of services. And we have appointed a team of experts on our side, together with our leadership, to sit with the collective bargaining implementation evaluation committee, jointly formed by Teacher Service Commission, so that any policy being formulated, any direction being taken, and any new issue or administrative action being taken by TSC is an agreement of both parties. To us, we think this is a fair way for both the employer and ourselves, and we'll be able to midwife what is good for teachers. But the signals that the chief executive is sending through the legal department and communication department is unacceptable to us. We've seen teachers receive show cause letters from the commission. Teachers who have attended our AGMs, and our AGMs are labor rights. They are protected in the Constitution, Section 41. and picking on individual members who attend meetings where we preside over is a breach of protocol by Teacher Service Commission. Naturally, the Commission ought to communicate to us as the national leadership directly. Those are meetings that we preside over ourselves, and we are accountable for any action that goes on, but not the members directly. Picking on members directly is an affront on labor rights of those individual teachers, and we shall not allow. The action by TSC is unconstitutional. All these activities alone, to us, it's enough to provoke us into an instant, outright, and prompt industrial action. If they don't withdraw those warning letters, we will bring out teachers in this country. That they can take it to the bank. And any further communication intimidating our teachers or our officials, interdicting some of the executive secretaries, it's in very bad faith, and that is breaking relations. So in short, TSC is out to dismantle and break relations between us and them, and also propagate bad labor relations. And we have said very clearly, we are committed to the cause. We have submitted our team. They will be at the commission tomorrow morning for a meeting, and we are prepared to work and cooperate with TSC during the retreat, and our demands are irreducible, that there must be compliance with the CBA, the Code of Regulations, the rights of teachers. We can't allow TSC to take away rights that teachers have enjoyed over the years, particularly promotions within schemes of service. That is outright violation of the ILO recommendations on labor rights. And so we are prepared, should the retreat, and we want to make it very clear, should the retreat meeting on those particular issues fail to resolve, then we are telling Kenyans there will be a strike. There will be a strike anytime from the 5th of October. There will be, no doubt about it. But if they are resolved, we have no interest in a strike. So TSC must behave, and the Chief Executive Officer must take responsibility and take full charge of the Commission and all correspondences that are critical emanating from the Commission. It is running out of discipline and is becoming roguish in its own operation, that it does not respect its social partners, particularly the unions. That is our major departure. And we shall not allow TSC to run our operation, how we conduct AGMs. We will be attending AGMs over the weekends all over the country, and our members are free to attend, participate in activities of the union, debate the reports, and engage in any action. If they are banning items that they think are not right, we shall allow them to ban. That is protected by the Constitution. Those are actions that are conducted peacefully. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. That was the Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, and they are threatening that if their grievances are not addressed in the retreat that is set to take place at the end of this month, then they are going to call for a strike, and this will mean that even the exam calendar in schools is going to be affected. Back to you, Ken.
All right, Sharon Baranga, very, very comprehensive indeed. Straight speaking, Secretary General right there, Wilson Sossion. Thank you, Sharon Baranga. She'll have a story later on those sentiments from Wilson Sossion and give the reasons why. We now join Silas Apollo, who is at the Industrial Area Fuel Depot, for a quick update on the fuel shortage situation in the country at large and CBD here specifically, occasioned by protests against the 16% VAT on fuel. Silas, to begin with, what is the latest on the ground? Have we seen now fuel stations having more fuel, or have we seen more people looking for fuel from different petrol stations around the CBD?
Actually, Ken, it's been one of the most hectic days, I think, today for most motorists here in Nairobi. The situation getting worse and worse by the day. And just as you can see, now we are on Mombasa Road. And it's also important to note that we were headed to industrial area where the independent distributors have been holding a go-slow. But we've been unable to reach that place because there's quite a big of much traffic on the road headed to industrial area. Basically, guys are rushing in the place to get petrol and get DSL ahead of the shortages. And so we here at at Mombasa Road, one of the total petrol stations in Mombasa Road, and the traffic is immense. The traffic is so much. Just from here to, actually it's beginning from Nyayo Stadium area to this place. Guys rushing to get petrol, which we talked to a number of motorists and they're saying that it's one of the commodities that is in shortage right now. Most petrol stations that have been visited are only stocking diesel at the moment. So it's quite a hectic day for most motorists here today. Quite a busy one. We don't know when the situation will end. We don't know what exactly is going to happen at the end of the day, but we will keep you abreast. Of course, we've been told that the independent distributors were also intending to block more trucks from accessing the area. We've been informed a number of police officers have headed there, and so we'll be headed there to give you more and more updates on what exactly is happening. But currently the situation is that the number of petrol stations that are also empty, both in the central business district and in adjacent areas like Westlands and other areas. So it's still not a conducive or a better environment for motorists.
All right, Silas, and of course the independent distributors, some of their licenses because of what they're doing currently have been withdrawn, but they were assured that if they stop what they're doing, they will have their licenses reinstated. Are you aware if some of them have their licenses back? Are you aware if most of them have still been taken out?
That has not been clear so far, but the stand that they still hold, the position that they still hold is that they want negotiations done on the 16% VAT, which they say is very discriminatory towards them. And so they're still standing their ground, saying that we're not going to relent on the go-slow until the government listens to us. Of course, we were told that the Treasury CS was in Parliament today to address the issue, and of course the argument is that the CS and the Speaker of the National Assembly saying that they're going to address the issue soon, that an amicable solution would be found to these problems. But according to the independent distributors, the go-slow would only stop will only stop the moment the government listens to their concerns and an amicable solution is found on the 16% VAT. So far, I think the status quo remains.
All right, tough stance indeed. Thank you, Silas Apollo. Situation check around the CBD in the fuel situation. All right, let's move on to Rongo University, where the Vice Chancellor Samuel Gudu is demanding justice for the murdered student Sharon Otieno. Gudu wants all those involved to face the law. The VC called for calm in the entire Rongo fraternity just a day after protests by the university student rent the air in Rongo town. Sharon Otieno's murder is currently being investigated by a special DCI squad dispatched from right here in Nairobi from their headquarters along Kiambu Road.
I want to say that what has happened to Beryl has given us a bit of sorrow, and at the end of it we pray and believe that those who abducted Beryl will be caught up with, and the law takes its full course. We believe that the government machinery is capable of handling this situation. We have been assisted with the government machinery. We are here with the DCIO, the chief of the area, and we are here with the OCPD. They have been very, very cooperative. We have given them every information they require, the details about the student, and any information we had.
All right, let's now get the latest from the ground. We're now joined by Bernard Ojwang, who's been following up this story for us. He's live for us from the county of Migori in Rongo. Bernard, what is the latest?
Well, thank you very much, Ken. We've been here since morning for talking to people here following the death of one of the students, Rongo University student Sharon Otieno, who was in a company with our nation media journalist Barack Oduor, who is currently receiving treatment. And remember what has been going on. What has been going on near university? Demonstration has been all over in Migori town. Some of the students went to the street saying that they are demanding quick investigation be done so as to those people who have been mentioned into this murder brought to book. And remember, currently, almost, or at least one person has been arrested and is now in police custody. And a group of security officers are all over in Migori County. Remember, they came all over from Nairobi so as to investigate this matter. And from here, Ken, I'm telling you, we'll be going to Homa Bay. As I told you there before, we'll be going to Homa Bay and at around 4 p.m. So as when that post-mortem will be done at Homa Bay Referral Hospital. We've been told that the body is still at Rachonyo District Hospital. But remember, in the next 2 hours, we'll be in Homa Bay town so as to wait for that process be done. And we'll be packaging that story for our subsequent bulletins, Ken.
All right, Bernard, thank you very much for that live update from the county of Migori, specifically Rongo, and the fact that the students today are in school is a good thing. Now, motorists and the residents of Rongo can rest as police do the work. All right, let's move on now. And motorists right here in Nairobi yesterday queued late into the night at petrol stations that still had fuel reserves as they tried to refill their tanks. The long queues becoming common in parts of Nairobi, largely due to a strike by fuel distributors that has seriously interfered with availability of fuel. Now, the distributors are protesting the implementation of the 16% value-added tax on fuel, which they say has pushed the commodity beyond the range and reach and, of course, affordability.
Long queues continue to form at petrol stations in Nairobi late into the night. Motorists were spending long hours in queues to buy petrol. Most motorists keen to refuel as a biting shortage starts to take effect. Police officers had to take charge to ensure motorists followed queues at some petrol stations. The Energy Regulatory Commission cancelled the license of Kipeda Holdings Limited, which ERC says is licensed to carry out imports, exports and wholesale of petroleum products with the exception of liquid petroleum gas. ERC said Kipeda was leading the boycott. It is said that the fuel dealers could also be holding the product in order to take advantage of desperate motorists.
There is no shortage at all in terms of the quantities of petroleum products. So that situation is being addressed, and we're hoping that things are going to normalize.
However, the ERC boss Pavel Oimeke said the boycott, which had led to shortage in most parts of the country, violated the license agreement.
And we're also sending a message to the members of Kipeda to kindly call off the strike, because really you should not. If they don't want to load themselves, we ask Kipeda people not to load. Let others continue loading. At the end of the day, we don't want them to sabotage the economy. Because imagine if there's no fuel, people will not go to work, transport, the PSV service will be affected. So at the end of the day, we'll be sabotaging the economy. So what has been done that as we're speaking now, the depots are loading, products beginning to flow. And I want to assure Kenyans that there is no need for panic.
Many stations across the country have reported dry pumps, with those with the precious commodity, mainly diesel, experiencing long queues of motorists. The tax has affected bus fares, with some public service vehicles charging 25 to 50% above the normal rate. The 16% VAT on petroleum products became effective on Saturday. Halima Gongo, NTV.
All right, now to Laikipia, where doctors in that county have threatened to down their tools, protesting pending study leaves and promotions. The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Pharmacists and Dentists Union chapter in the county of Laikipia have accused the county administration of forcing members to resign as condition to go for further studies. They have given the county government a maximum of 14 days to address the concerns, failure to which they will paralyze medical services in Laikipia County.
Yeah, we've engaged the county on different forums, and they're saying that they have a shortage and they cannot release guys to school. We even discussed and asked them to release a percentage of the number of doctors that have applied to school. Let's say we have 14 doctors who have applied to go to school. We asked them to release 7. And in their agreement, they're saying they cannot release any doctor. There's none they can release to school this year.
And elsewhere, officers at the National Transport and Safety Authority Inspection Center in Thika have been put on the spot for allegedly taking bribes to issue certificates to vehicles that are unroadworthy. Kenya Roads and Safety Association officials planted a truck without the knowledge of the inspection officers at the center and expressed their dissatisfaction with how the inspection exercise was conducted. They accused the NTSA officials at the center of collecting thousands of shillings through dubious means, maintaining that the unroadworthy vehicles which are granted certificates are the major contributors to the carnage on the roads. They called on the police to impound such vehicles and restore sanity on the roads.
Tutazunguka inspection zote, hakuna inspection Kenya ambaye hatutafika, manake lazima tuanze kujiuliza kama wa Kenya. Hizi ajali zinatoka wapi? Nini inasababisha hizi ajali? Nani anafanya hizi ajali ziwe nyingi kwa barabara zetu? Sasa tumeanza kuona kwa kweli inspection zetu wale watu wanafanya kazi pale wamelala.
Now, West Pokot Women Representative Lillian Tomiton urged women from the North Rift region to be on the front line in fostering peace and reconciliation following a rise in the cases of insecurity in the region. Speaking yesterday during a peace meeting at Katimkomor area, Tomitor urged the women to be peace ambassadors as they should shun the habit of inciting the community members against each other. She further urged them to ensure the men and the youth don't engage in conflicts within or with the neighboring communities as well. She said the West Pokot, Trans Nzoia, Elgeyo Marakwet and Turkana counties have had challenges to insecurity, but now peace has been realized and the conflicts have to come to an end.
Bila amani kweli hatuwezi endelea. Mambo haya naomba wamama, kwa sababu nyinyi ndio mnasikia uchungu ya mtoto.
And on that note, let's take a look at some sports. Sean Cadavelis is back in studio with the latest from the sports desk. Sean?
Thank you very much. Very good afternoon to you. Now, Ghana's Black Stars arrive in the country this evening for the Africa Cup of Nations 2019 qualifier against Kenya's Harambee Stars on Saturday. Now, Ghana had been camping in Ethiopia this week, with Inter Milan midfielder Kwado Asamoah training separately on Wednesday due to a small injury. The hosts will start as underdogs with coach Sebastien Minye missing his captain Victor Wanyama due to injury.
After calling up 38 players, national football team head coach Sebastien Minye has been forced to name all the 24 players who made it to camp in his 24-man squad ahead of the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Ghana on Saturday.
What is interesting is to have this morning 24 players and to have your full team because I don't want to speak about the players who are absent.
But asked about Captain Victor Wanyama not honouring his call-up, having just returned to training from injury with his Tottenham Hotspur side, Minye had a lot to say.
If he's coming now, it's too late. I can see we need to improve also the level, the professional level.
Probable standing captain David Kalaba Owino sustained a knock in the Wednesday morning training session and is now on injury out for Saturday. This as Kenya #1 goalie Boniface Oluoch has not reported to camp, leaving the coach to make a decision.
For next game, I have 3 goalkeepers. I think it's not a secret, it will be Matasi.
While Harambee Stars were losing 2-1 away to Sierra Leone, Ghana began their campaign with a 5-0 thrashing of Ethiopia. And coach Minye has moderate expectations from his charges on Saturday, preferring to look further ahead.
See, to build a good link-up for the team, you need time. I'm not here only for one shot. For Ghana, we try to build something for AFCON, next AFCON, but maybe AFCON 21,
With Kenya last having made it to AFCON 14 years ago, the Harambee Stars players are aware of the magnitude of the challenge.
And like I said, we are really going to give it a good shot because it's a vital game in our qualifications.
For sure game itakuwa tough. Ghana ni team experience, iko na experienced players, mature. Sisi nadhani kitu inaweza kusaidia tu ni mentality.
The Black Stars of Ghana are scheduled to arrive Thursday evening for the match to be played Saturday at Kasarani starting at 4 p.m. Coach Sebastian Mijungu has his work cut out as Kenya takes on Ghana in an AFCON 2019 qualifier. But for Coach Mijungu, who is playing his first competitive match in the country, he seeks more time to build a team for the future. Warote Kiru, NTV, Nairobi.
Now, World Cup winners France face Germany in a blockbuster start to the UEFA Nations League on Thursday. The tournament sees 55 European nations competing in... Thank you very much. Just turned 30. Thank you for the birthday wishes, Sean. Thank you very much. And of course, thank you for sports. And coming up shortly is NTV Sasa. And I see the team is ready on the other side. Thanks for watching NTV Today. My name is Ken Mijungu. Have a good afternoon.